our hands together. Elder spoke mighty in the spirit. We're going to continue on with it. I'm going to say 2 words, and I want the so-called Negroes out here and Latinos to meditate on what we're about to say. We're living in serious times. I'm going to say 2 words to you. Sonya Massey. I'm going to say 2 words to you. Sonya Massey. And it's time that we wake up as a people. If we are not waking up now, then you're in a delusional state. And the same thing is getting ready to happen to the so-called black women and men and children in America. This is to put you on notice. That's right. All right? So give me the book. Go back to Sirach, chapter 12, and we're going to do 9. You give me the book of Sirach, chapter 30. All right, so Sonya Massey. Now, if you don't know what took place, this was recently. It took place where one of our dear sisters was shot in the face by another racist, impenitent, despicable excuse for a human being. Shot her 3 times in the face, and she was not a threat. It's time that we wake up in these times. If you don't know who your enemy is, then I don't know what to tell you. You're going to be victimized again. Right. And it's something very interesting about her name, Sonya Massey. Her whole name represents a waking up to the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. This Bible that we're reading from is describing the very things that would happen to the children of Israel. Right. And we need to acknowledge as a people, or we're destined to be destroyed. Right. We're destined to be destroyed. Read what you got.
The book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 9. In the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved.
In the prosperity, because we should be asking, how do we grieve our enemy in these last days? Right. We see a clear enemy. We see a definitive line being drawn in the sand. How do we defeat our enemies when it seems like we're powerless? Right. How do we defeat our enemies? Because I know it's some so-called black men out here that's ready for war. That's right. I know it's some of you. I know some of you aren't willing to allow a man to come in your house, shoot your woman in the face, right, murder your children, put knees on necks. And I know some of us out here are trained. I know some of us out here are awakening, but we got to get back to our power. That's right. That's right. Because any militia that we try to form, we see what happens. The enemy comes and infiltrates. Right. So how do we disrupt our enemy on a spiritual level? That should be the question as the children of Israel, as the men and women that identify with this book. Read.
In the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved.
Prosperity. You know why the enemies are already grieved with us, but we don't understand it because we are the children of Israel. Right. You don't understand why they hate you. They hate you because they hate you. Right. And if you don't get this from the beginning, what part of nigger, coon, spick, wetback don't you get? Right. Who came up with those terms? Right. Do I need to go further? Who is your natural born enemy from day one? Right. What man put you on cargo slave ships, brought you over here, and has not indemnified you to this very day? I don't even have to describe his pigmentation. Though he be a PFE, a pink flesh entity. That's right. Though he be a PFE, a pink flesh entity, his character, his track record speaks for itself. Just like that racist soldier that killed our sister Sonya Massey, that murdered her. I won't even dignify it with kill. He murdered her in cold blood. That's right. And you may ask, you may say, why all white people ain't bad? Well, this is the analogy we always use. Right. This is even the analogy that Muhammad Ali used. If a bunch of snakes, 1,000 snakes, 500 of them aren't poisonous, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, are you going to allow them to come in your house to figure out which one's going to bite and kill you or not? Or do you close the door and leave them all alone? This is what we got to learn to do in America as a so-called Negro. And we need to not choose none of his ways, looking like James Brown as a pirate. We got to stop this stuff, man. We got to stop this, man. And I don't mean to laugh, but this is madness, man. While these people are killing us, man. These people are straight murdering us, and you dress like James Brown the pirate. That don't make no sense, man. Read what you got.
But in his adversity, even a friend will depart.
In his adversity. So we see in our adversity, you always trying to say, I got white friends. But in our adversity, he always departs. Why aren't you indemnified as a so-called Negro? Why you still can't get common decency? Why you can't get justice and peace? Are we still equal? Are you still buying that lion that we're all equal? They don't treat you that way. Read on.
Never trust thine enemy.
What does the Bible say?
Never trust thine enemy.
So we know who our enemy is. They have treated us as enemies from day one. Let's talk about this man that did this to our sister.
Right.
Give me the Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 1. But let's talk about this man. Read on.
For like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
So is his wickedness. You know what the Bible records for the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to do in the last days? He says that wisdom shall be the stability of our times. That's the problem with us. And you know what's ironic about Sonya Massey and how that man, that dirty devil, he's not even a man, how that beast murdered him? And a lot of y'all say, well, that was just one cop. It was a Negro that came out on TikTok advocating for the police department. Talking about, like he was talking to the assailant that murdered our sister. I said, man, you got to go. You got to die too. You one of them snakes in the bunch, man. Because if the system is corrupt, if you're a part of it, you're corrupt. The only way to come out, did you see that? The police officer, his partner is just as bad. His partner is guilty because all snakes slither.
That's right.
All right? All snakes slither. And that damn devil let that man, knowing his track record, he allowed that man to shoot our sister in the face. He allowed her. He put his hand on his head as though he was in shock. You knew the devil you were next to for as long as you've been training with him. Right. You knew this man was unstable, but guess what? All of y'all are unstable. Right. What they say, F the police and F their department. We don't give a damn. Talking about the front. The only people that want to keep the police department around is the ones that are protected by them. Right. And that's the so-called European, the damn devil that the Bible speaks of. That's right. All right, read what you got.
Though he humble himself.
This woman called the police. They're supposed to protect and serve. All they do to the so-called Negro is detain and harass and murder, man. Right. That's why it's a code even in the hood. You don't call the police. Right. We're going to deal with our own justice because we ain't going to get it from them until it's just us. Right. And it's sad because you so-called Negroes, the fact that our women are running the men out of the house, now you don't have no protector, right? Now that loudmouth woman is running all the men away. And nobody wants to tolerate you. And I'm not saying that's what happened to Sonya Massey, but you're going to see in these last days, you're going to need your men.
That's right.
You're going to need your protector.
That's right.
You're going to stop running your mouth, yelling, and acting like you're on his level and submit, because he is the authority in the earth, and that's because the Most High said so.
Right.
All right? You ain't got a damn say-so about it. You're a weaker vessel and just get used to it. Talking about, I don't need no man. The same people that say they married to Jesus is sleeping with the damn deacon. The same woman that said, oh, I'm married to Jesus. You ain't got no man, but 13 children in your house. Because you're a shameless woman, man. And you need to wake up. In these last days, the Most High gonna teach you to fear. That's right. Because soon y'all gonna come run and protect us. We're sorry. We're gonna stop shaking it for cash.
That's right.
We'll stop shaking it. Just take us in. Right. Matter of fact, hold that. Give me Isaiah 4:1.
Teach them, please.
Give me Isaiah 4:1. Hold that. Because we need to learn today as a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, and Seminole Indian. You got enemies out here. But guess what? They in white face. You got enemies in white face. Read.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 4, and verse 1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man.
We coming to that day. 7 women gonna take hold of one Israelite man. Because they like, damn, I don't have no protection. I call the police. Now keep in mind, this is the same devil you done called on your men. Right. And if he would do this to a non-aggressive black woman, what do you think he's going to do to a black man that he already scared of? A black man with a gun now is a crime in America. But what about the Constitution? What about the First Amendment? What about the Second Amendment? The right to bear arms. Now you demonize when you got a gun. Well, I'm one of them Negroes.
That's right.
I got the spirit of Nat Turner.
That's right.
You take my gun out of my cold dead hand.
That's
right?
right.
That's what I want you to do. That's right. Even our enemy knows. He knows that that's the. How did he get this land? Did he get it by pleading the way so-called Negroes plead to their oppressor? Hell no. That ain't gonna happen like that. Read what you got.
And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread.
It's getting to that time where the so-called black woman gonna say, all that stuff is, I'm an independent woman. I don't need no man. Jesus is my lover. How white Jesus couldn't help our sister Sonya Massey.
Right.
She should have had a man there, a so-called Negro, that would take care of his family. And that's the problem with you brothers too. You leaving your families. And this is the result of these curses in the Bible, man. And we're gonna bring them out smooth so a child can understand. Read.
And wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name.
So it's gonna be that woman with all the money now, got that degree, and she got that PhD.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Feeling herself, dummy. You know what I'm saying? She gonna get all that, and now she gonna find out that it ain't worth nothing. They done sold her a fantasy, man. Because you're gonna need the protection. You're gonna say, we'll work, we'll do what we need to, and we'll protect. Well, get me a man that will protect me. Read what you got, kid.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 26, verse 26.
Bring it out.
A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise to fall.
And this is wisdom. And it's so important that this word wisdom, I want y'all to think about this word wisdom and then Sonya Massey. Sonya Massey. That's going to come to play here in a few. Read on.
But she that dishonoreth him,
She that what?
but she that dishonoreth him, in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all.
Ungodly of all. Why you think they shooting our women in the face? Why you think they going in the house just shooting them through a window? Because our women have not submitted to the power of the Most High. All right? And they got to come back. Oddly enough, her name Sonya means wisdom. Isn't that interesting? Sonya means wisdom. And her last name, Massey, has to do with the power of the Most High. So Sonya, wisdom, is the gift of the Most High. Her last name means the gift of God. So wisdom is the gift of God. But she didn't have wisdom because she called her enemy. And isn't that interesting? And we're reading from the book of wisdom that says, never trust your enemy. That's a wake up to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Read.
Verse 27, Sirach 26, 27. A loud crying woman and a scold shall be sought out to drive away the enemy.
You see that? A loud crying woman. You're supposed to call for protection. You're supposed to call on the Most High. She called on an impotent name, white Jesus, and it did nothing for her. So our dear sister Sonya Massey, whose names means wisdom, wisdom is the gift of the Most High. Let's read from the book of wisdom. Read.
Though he humble himself,
It told us never to trust our enemy. So the book of wisdom, the wisdom that she should apply as an Israelite woman, come on,
never trust thine enemy.
she shouldn't have trusted him. It's sad that she didn't have a strong so-called black man in the house to look and see who was around. You see what I'm saying? That's a shame that she had to call her in. And this man had the intent to do what he did, to shoot her in the face.
That's right. That's right.
Read on.
For like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass.
In other words, you're going to be able to identify him. I don't have time to discern what snakes are poisonous or not. We need to stay away from the pink flesh entity as a people. We don't need their police department. We don't need any assistance. They can't be our friends because they can't be trusted.
That's right.
They call you a nigga and they're on the boat meetings quick. When they with their own people, you ask your, if you got a white friend, if he ever used the word nigga. If he tell you the truth, he say, damn right. I done called you one. I done snored nigga to sleep. When I was snoring, I said nigga. So, man, they not gonna change their spots, man. All right, read what you got.
This is Iraq 30 from the top. He that loveth his son.
So we gotta learn to love our sons, because loving our sons is going to do something to the enemy, man. Now that we know who the enemy, the man that brought you over here not on the love boat, but wanted to choke the life out of you. Read.
He that loveth his son calleth him off to fill the rod.
So we got to start disciplining our sons. You know why? Because sons grow up to be warriors.
Right.
Now we don't have, the sons are effeminate as the mother these days.
Right.
We got the single parent house syndrome, and the mother, you know, Sonya Massey was a mother of two. She was a single mother of two. And now they don't even have their mother. Where was the father? What was he doing? Did she drive him away, or was he just a coward? Who knows? But we know these curses are true.
Right.
And it said that the husbands would leave the wives would leave the husband. All this is prophesied in the Bible. Read.
He that loveth his son calleth him off to fill the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end.
What does this enemy teach you? They got children putting their parents in timeout. You used to be able to put your child in timeout. Now your children can put you in timeout. Your child in this country, you got children divorcing their parents. You got children determining their gender. This is a weak, hypocritical nation, man. And we got to stop joining hand in hand with this devil, man, or you're going to be destroyed. Got a bunch of Negroes running around America that's on fire with gasoline drawers on. That's what you're doing. You're running around America that's destined to burn with gasoline fire. And I'm going to show you the enemy that you're dealing with has already been deemed destroyed. Hold that. Give me Obadiah 18. The enemy, this one that you want to befriend, the Bible bears record how he's going to deal with him. And you can read verse 17. You're going to keep fraternizing with your enemy and keep sleep next to him too long. A snake will curl up on you and bite you in the neck. The so-called white man's a damn vampire.
Right, that's right.
The so-called white man will put a noose around your neck. That's what he did with your ancestors, and you want to play hopscotch with him. This man don't need a rope in his hand. You need to stay as far away from this man as possible. Read. Come.
The book of Obadiah, verse 17. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance.
It's going to be deliverance with the Israelites. All right, the so-called Negroes and Latinos. Read.
And there shall be holiness.
And there's going to be righteousness. The word holiness means, as a nation, we're going to be separate from these people, man. And we don't seem to get that. How many times you got to get shot in the face?
Right.
When you're calling the one to protect you and serve. How many times you got to get a knee on your neck? Read.
And the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions.
We're going to possess our possessors. Who possessed the so-called Negro in captivity? Who possessed us? And they possess us now when you see our people running out here with this buffoonery.
Right.
The hell would you dress up as Catwoman and they shooting the black woman in the face?
Right.
And they may mistake you for a rabid animal now. They already treat you less than an animal. Imagine you dressing up like one. Now you're really in trouble. The SPCA gonna have a hit on you. Read.
Verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble.
We getting ready to burn the house of Esau up. Burn, Babylon, burn. But y'all want to walk around America with gasoline drawers on. There's probably somebody out here called Gasoline Man today. Read.
And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau.
How many people are going to be left of your enemy, the Idumeans, the Seirites, the pink flesh entities? How many of them going to be left?
There shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau.
So this is what we got to understand, man, that they're set to be stubble. Is that it on that? Read on.
For Yahweh hath spoken it.
Who said it?
Yahweh hath spoken it.
And that's just how that story ends. And we got to understand. So let's get back. How do we grieve the enemy in these last days? And I'm not going to be too much long. I'm going to let the next powerful speaker come edify you. But how do we grieve the enemy from the PFE that's done that murderous act to our sister Sonya Massey? Keep in mind, the word means her name, Sonya, wisdom. Massey, the gift of the Most High. Wisdom is the gift of the Most High. Wisdom is the stability of our times. If that sister would have hearkened to the words of this book, then she'd still be alive today. Right. If she had listened to what we're saying right now, that sister would still be alive today. Y'all walk by us every day and look at us with disdain, but the words that are coming from our mouth will save your life one day. Because if Sister Massey would have heard these words, she'd have never called the damn police to come and protect her. All right, read what you got.
He that chasteneth his son shall have joy in him.
Come on.
And he shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance.
Come on.
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
He that what?
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
This is how you grieve the enemy as a so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American. Have knowledge of self. Getting back to your identity, because we as a people suffer from an identity crisis. We don't know what nationality we are. Therefore, we don't have a banner. Therefore, we don't know who our enemy is. Therefore, we are subject to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, witch, wizard, and everything in between, and their influence deceiving us by the masses, man. And that's why we're destroyed for lack of knowledge. All right? We got to get away from this. You fraternizing with the enemy in these demonic celebrations. Right. They fantasize. This is who they really are. They're not acting. They really witches and wizards, man. Right. They really a bunch of imps and demons. Right. This moronic behavior. Look at this over there. That's just plain stupid. Right. This moronic behavior in America, and our people follow right along. They want to demonize us because we don't believe the LGBTQ should have a voice. And they call us evil, but you out here parading around as something that could be questionable. Here goes Spider-Man. And that says it all. Read.
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
When you teach your son these laws, statutes, and commandments, you raising up warriors. That's we grieve the enemy. Why is that important? Give me the book of Exodus 15:3. Read.
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
Come on.
Though his father die.
Though your father be dead. This is important, man. How are we going to grieve the enemy in these last days? Because if you try to take arms and fight them, you don't have enough guns right now. It's a spiritual warfare. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. Right. So we're going to have to defeat this enemy spiritually. You know, the most threatening Negro is a Negro that got knowledge of self.
That's right.
A Negro that knows who his enemy is. A Negro that gird up his loins like a man. A Negro that take heed to these commandments. Right. Read.
Though his father died, yet he is as though he were not dead.
Though he was not dead. Can you imagine what we could do with 1,000 daughters? You remember Donna that went on that beautiful killing spree? Imagine when the Spirit of the Most High puts that on his battle axe, on his men that are going to be his weapons of war. Read on.
For he hath left one behind him that is like himself.
So when you teach your sons, you leave one like yourself. Let's see what type of character that is. Read what you got.
It's the book of Exodus chapter 15 and verse 3. The Lord is a man of war. Yahweh is his name.
So that's why we don't teach God. We don't teach the name Jesus. We teach Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah. Because it's only in that name where the authority is. Anybody coming in another name don't have that authority, because Jesus, he ain't teaching the authority of this Bible. Right. He's teaching you how to be passive. He's teaching you how to turn the other cheek and let your oppressor cut your throat. Right. Shoot our women in the face, and Negroes still walking around like it's okay. Right. Like everything is, man, give me Proverbs, you know what I want. One, read what you got. These simple-minded Negroes. Read.
While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him. And when he died, he was not sorrowful, He left behind him an avenger.
He left behind what?
He left behind him an avenger.
You left behind a soldier. These damn effeminate, weak men in America, man. Pants hanging off their behind. We're supposed to raise up our sons to be an avenger of our enemies, man.
That's right.
How you think wars are started? How you think wars are won?
That's
I ain't
right.
calming down shit. Because the Bible said, surely oppression make a wise man mad. You get out of here, devil. Your time is coming. That head gonna be chopped off along with your damn head.
That's
All right? This is coming.
He left behind him an avenger.
He left behind what?
An avenger.
Right on cue. You see his pride with all these men around. Imagine when we get our power back. He ain't gonna be talking like that. Imagine the so-called Negro couldn't even walk and eyeball a white man.
Right.
God.
Them hanging us and lynching us for nothing. They shooting our women in the face now for nothing. You know, every other culture don't think like this. The so-called Palestinian don't think like this. The so-called Israeli don't think like the so-called Negro. We're a bunch of docile, weak-minded Negroes in America. Want to jump on every damn bandwagon, ain't willing to bust a grape, scared to swat a fly. It's time that we wake up as soldiers, because you grieve the enemy when you teach your sons this truth.
That's right.
You raise up a warrior. What does it say you raise up?
He left behind him an avenger.
An effeminate Negro.
An avenger.
I could be whatever I want.
An avenger.
He could come out here and dress up as Captain America.
An avenger.
The true Avengers are the Israelites.
Right.
The real Avengers are the biblical Israelites. They out here playing the Avengers.
Right.
We the real Avengers.
God.
Read what you got.
He left behind him an avenger against his enemies.
Against who?
Against his enemies.
Against who?
Against his enemies.
Who killed Sonya Massey?
Against his enemies.
Against his enemies. We gotta wake up. We gotta wake up. Give me the book of Proverbs 1.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 1.
Give me Proverbs 2 and I'm gonna end there.
Verse 22.
Come on.
How long, ye simple ones?
How long you simple ones gonna keep giving your children, your sons to the enemy? Why you think in the book of Exodus they were trying to kill off the firstborn? Because they didn't want to have to reckon with an army. They didn't want to have to get that recompense. It's my prayer that my grandsons be warriors, man.
That's right.
That they'll be an avenger, man. An avenger to take the heads off of his enemies.
Teach him, priest.
Read.
How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity?
How long we gonna learn this simplicity, man? This simplicity mind, this moronic behavior of the PFE, man. How long we gonna be dibbling in this, man?
Right.
That's why you're not a threat to them. That's why they can kill your women. You ain't gonna do nothing.
Right.
You just gonna kill one another. You gonna get in our face and yell, but you ain't gonna yell at the police. Right. You won't go out here and vote. You want to vote your way in. You ain't vote your way in America, and you ain't gonna vote your way out.
Right.
Read.
And the scorners delight in their scorning.
You love to scorn us, man. We telling you the truth. Like I said before, if Sonya Massey would have listened to us, wisdom would have prevailed. Wisdom would have had her way. Read.
And fools hate knowledge.
And what?
And fools hate knowledge.
That's why I use the word moronic, because moronic simply means foolish or stupid. And our people have become moronic, man, when you follow a moronic person.
Right.
A damn moron, man.
Right.
He's a moron.
Right.
All right, that's who he should be playing today. The only thing the PFE should have on is the costume of a moron. Right. That's the only character he's been. Right. Read.
Turn you at my reproof.
We got to turn at his reproof. The power that says we need to instruct our sons.
That's right.
To raise them up in wars. The same power that has the spirit and the power of an avenger, a deliverer, and a warrior. Read.
Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you.
And that's why you see that righteous indignation on these men today. That's the problem with our men. We don't have righteous indignation.
Right.
I'm going to tell you that whoever that PFE was, and his name, I know we got all the information, but they murdered our sister, he should be very scared. But he's not.
Right.
They going to stick together just like his partner. They going to stick together, and he probably become a millionaire.
Right. Right.
What's the song 50 Cent? Have a baby by me and become a millionaire. I mean, nigga, shut the hell up. Right. All you got to do is be a Negro, and you become a millionaire as a pink flesh entity if you're on the police department. If that's the best of them, how can we trust their man, woman, and child? If the one that's supposed to protect and serve us, and they wear a badge, and they have been given authority, how the hell are we supposed to trust the rest of them things?
Right. Makes sense.
It ain't no way, man. Read.
Because I have called and ye refused.
I called and ye refused. And I'm not saying Sonya Massey did, but how many church women you know in there that said, I'm married to Jesus, I don't need a man. And then yelled the so-called Negro man out of his house. We just dealt with a demon on a sister last week that I know if she got a man, he glad she ain't there. And that's bad. When that's become the natural paradigm in America. I want my woman gone. Because she's just too damn ornery and loud. She's a beast. We got to humble ourselves in these last days.
I have stretched out my hand.
What?
I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded.
And that's what we see. We don't see our men regarded. They still want to have a good goddamn time in America, man. You know, our men are, but we got some young men here that are ready for battle, man. The Most High reserved himself a remnant, man. One can take a what? One can take 1,000. So we don't need, and look at what we see here. This city is overthrown already. It's overthrown already. Read what you got. 2:1. Read Proverbs 2:1. And I'm going to end on these couple scriptures. Read.
This is Proverbs 2:1. My son, if thou wilt receive my words.
If you receive these words as a so-called Negro, there'll be no more Sonya Masseys. There'll be no more Sonya Massey. There'll be no more Emmett Till. There'll be no more Trayvon Martins.
That's right.
Come on, it's just going to be Nat Turners and Denmark Vessies. Come on, read.
My son, if thou wilt receive my words, and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom, and apply thine heart unto understanding.
That's what Sonya Massey needed in these last days. Wisdom shall be the stability of all our times. Right. Not folly, not any bandwagon, not the LGBTQ community. That's not going to save you when the devil comes to your house and want to shoot you in the face. Because both of y'all going to be running. Read.
Yea, if thou criest after knowledge and lifteth up thy voice for understanding, if thou seekest her as silver and searchest her as for hid treasures, then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord, and finally find the knowledge of God.
That's what we need. Skip down to verse 11. That's what we need.
Discretion shall preserve thee.
Discretion will preserve us from our enemies in these last days. Y'all got to hear this, beloved. It's not enough to teach these words. You got to apply these words because it's that serious. It's as serious as Sonya Massey, man. I'm going to keep saying her name because, again, that's very prophetic. Her name, once again, her name Sonya, meaning wisdom. Massey, that's the gift of God. Wisdom is the gift of God. Brothers, beloved, sisters, it's time to gird up. Read on.
Discretion shall preserve thee.
Discretion shall preserve thee. What are we reading from Proverbs? Isn't this a book of wisdom? Read.
Understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the way of the evil man.
To do what?
To deliver thee from the way of the evil man.
From what?
To deliver thee from the way of the evil man.
The evil man, man. And that's what that guy was. He's a wicked, evil, pink flesh entity. Right. And we need to stay away from him, man. That's right. We need to stay away from him. Read on.
From the man that speaketh forward things, who leave the path of righteousness.
That's what these people have done. They don't have righteousness. They sold their birthright. All right? So I'm not going to be much longer. Finish that out, and then I'm going to turn it over. Bring it out.
It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 24. For wisdom is more moving than any motion.
You see that? Well, listen, read that again. That's important.
For wisdom is more moving than any motion.
What they be saying, I got motion. Man, you ain't got no damn motion in America. I got motion. You ain't got no motion. In America, it's the so-called Negro. Right. You operate in slow motion.
Right.
When it comes to the law, statutes, and commandments. You ain't not even acting like men. All you do is cause commotion in your own communities. You ain't got no damn motion. Read.
She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness.
And that's what we got to get back to, being set apart. That's going to cause us to defeat our enemies. Come on, man. Let's put our hands together for the Most High. He's given us the power to defeat our enemies in these last days. Read.
For she is the breath of the power of the Most High.
She is the breath. When the Most High speak, it is done. Read. All we got to do is say, get him, Most High, by Shem YAHAWAH'S, and it's done. Read.
And a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore can no defiled thing fall into her.
So that's why we have to be pure so we can destroy the most unclean. And with that, that's it. With that, I say shalom.